Amanda's eyes fluttered open, and she was immediately engulfed by the sterile scent of antiseptic and the muted beeping of machines. A bright overhead light pierced through her foggy consciousness, and for a moment, she felt weightless, as if suspended in a dream. But the sharp edges of reality soon pierced through, the clamorous sounds of sirens outside, the faint rustling of nurses in the background, and the dull ache that radiated through her body. "Miss Johnson?" a soft voice called out. It was a nurse, her face a gentle mask of concern. "Can you hear me?" Amanda tried to nod but quickly regretted the movement as pain shot through her neck. "Yes," she croaked, her throat dry and scratchy. "You've been in an accident." "We're taking good care of you," the nurse assured her, checking the machines beside her. "You're safe now." Safe. The word echoed in Amanda's mind, but it felt like a cruel joke. As memories of the crash scrambled back, vivid and jagged, she struggled to piece them together. She could see flashes, the blinding headlights, the sickening crunch of metal, and the overwhelming fear that had gripped her just before everything went dark. Panic surged within her, and her heart raced. "What happened?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. The nurse hesitated, clearly gauging how much to reveal. "You were in a car accident, Amanda. You sustained some injuries, but you're recovering. You'll be okay." As the nurse continued her checks, Amanda's mind drifted. She felt lost, not just in the hospital room but in her life. She had been living in a haze, stuck in a monotonous routine of work and obligations, and now, she was confronted with the stark reality of her existence. The accident had jolted her awake, but it also left her grappling with the question, what now? After what felt like an eternity, Amanda was finally discharged from the hospital. The world outside hit her like a wall of sound and color. She squinted against the brightness of the Colorado sun, her senses overwhelmed by the cacophony of chirping birds, honking cars, and distant conversations. She sat in the passenger seat of her friend's car, her body still aching from the accident, and stared blankly out the window as the familiar streets of Denver passed by in a blur. "Are you okay?" her friend, Sarah, asked, concern etched across her face. "Yeah, I just need some time," Amanda replied, her voice still shaky. "Of course. Just take it slow," Sarah said gently, reaching over to squeeze Amanda's hand. The warmth of the gesture was comforting, but it did little to alleviate the gnawing emptiness inside her. Back at her apartment, Amanda was struck by how alien her own space felt. The walls, once adorned with her favorite pictures and mementos, now seemed to close in on her. She walked through the small living room, running her fingers over the furniture, each piece a reminder of her stagnant life. It was as if she had been living in a bubble, untouched by the outside world, and now that bubble had burst, leaving her with a profound sense of loss. Sinking onto the couch, Amanda picked up her phone and scrolled through her contacts. She hesitated over names, feeling a mix of longing and fear. She was grateful for the support of her friends, but she also felt like a burden. What could she say to them? How could she explain the swirling chaos inside her mind? "Get it together, Amanda," she muttered to herself, rubbing her temples. The weight of her reality pressed down on her, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she needed to do something, anything, to reclaim her life. The following day, Amanda found herself standing outside a community center, her heart racing as she peered through the glass doors. A sign read, "Support Group, Healing After Trauma." It felt daunting, but deep down, she knew she had to take this step. She had to confront her pain, not just the physical scars but the emotional ones too. Taking a deep breath, she pushed the door open and entered. The room was filled with a mix of people, some sitting in small circles, others standing awkwardly against the walls. Their faces were a tapestry of emotions, sorrow, hope, and a hint of camaraderie. Amanda felt her heart race as she took a seat in the back, trying to blend into the shadows. "Welcome, everyone," a warm voice resonated from the front of the room. A woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a soothing presence stood before them. "My name is Lisa, and I'm here to facilitate our group today. This is a safe space for us to share our stories and support one another." As Lisa continued speaking, Amanda felt a lump form in her throat. The stories that began to unfold around her were raw and painful, each one a testament to the struggles faced by those in the room. When it came time for introductions, Amanda felt the weight of expectation. She had never been one to share her feelings openly, but something about the atmosphere encouraged vulnerability. "Hi, I'm Amanda," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I was in a car accident a few weeks ago, and I'm just trying to figure things out." The room was silent for a moment before a woman next to her nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "I understand. I lost my brother in an accident last year. It's hard to find your way back." Amanda felt an immediate connection to the woman's pain. As others shared their stories, Amanda found herself captivated by their resilience. Each narrative was unique, yet they all wove a common thread of grief and survival. As the meeting unfolded, Amanda felt the walls she had built around her begin to crumble, replaced by a sense of belonging. After the meeting, Amanda lingered, absorbing the energy of the room. She watched as people exchanged hugs and phone numbers, promising to support one another. Amanda felt a twinge of envy. She had always been the one to hold back, to keep her emotions in check. But today, something shifted within her. "Hey," a voice interrupted her thoughts. Amanda turned to see a tall man with tousled hair and a gentle smile approaching her. "I'm Jake. I just wanted to say, it takes a lot of courage to share." "I admire that." Amanda felt a warmth spread through her, and she smiled shyly. "Thank you. It's been a rough couple of weeks." "I get it," Jake replied, his expression turning serious. "I lost my wife in a car accident a few years ago. It was a long road, but it does get better. You just have to take it one day at a time." His words resonated with Amanda, and she found herself wanting to know more about him. "How did you cope?" she asked, curiosity piqued. "Art," he replied, a glimmer of passion igniting in his eyes. "I started painting again. It was my way of processing everything. I'd love to show you some of my work sometime." Amanda felt a spark of interest ignite within her. She had once loved to paint, but life had pushed that passion aside. "I'd like that," she said, surprised by her own eagerness. As they continued to talk, Amanda felt the heaviness in her heart begin to lighten. She had walked into the group feeling lost and alone, but now, for the first time in weeks, she sensed a flicker of hope. Maybe this was the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with connection, healing, and the possibility of rediscovering who she truly was. Amanda sat quietly in the circle of chairs, her heart pounding as she listened to the stories being shared. The group was small, but the emotions were palpable. Each person spoke with a raw honesty that resonated deeply within her. She felt like an intruder, a newcomer in a world of pain that was somehow both familiar and foreign. The room was filled with a mix of sorrow and hope, and for the first time since the accident, Amanda felt a flicker of understanding stir within her. It was then that Jake spoke up. He had a gentle demeanor, with tousled dark hair and sad blue eyes that seemed to hold a universe of untold stories. "I lost my wife 6 months ago," he began, his voice steady but laced with emotion. "We were supposed to have a life together, dreams to chase, but everything changed in an instant." The room fell silent, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Amanda felt an immediate connection to his pain, a silent acknowledgement of their shared struggles. After the meeting, Amanda found herself drawn to Jake. They exchanged tentative smiles, and he approached her, his hands shoved into the pockets of his worn jeans. "Hey, I really appreciated what you shared today. It's not easy to open up, is it?" he said, his voice softening the edges of her anxiety. "No, it's not," Amanda replied, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I didn't even know if I could. But hearing everyone else made me realize I'm not alone in this." Jake nodded, his expression thoughtful. "It's a strange comfort, isn't it? Being surrounded by people who understand your pain, even if you've never met before." They began to talk more after the meetings, sharing snippets of their lives, laughing nervously at the absurdities that life had thrown their way. One evening, as they stood outside the community center after a particularly emotional session, the sun setting in a blaze of orange and pink behind them, Jake asked, "What did you do before all of this?" "I was an accountant," Amanda replied, the word feeling heavy on her tongue. "But I always loved art. I used to paint a lot before everything changed." She glanced down, feeling a sense of loss wash over her. "Art, huh? That's awesome. What do you like to paint?" Jake's interest was genuine, and Amanda found herself warming to the topic. "Mostly landscapes and abstract pieces. I love how colors can evoke emotions, tell stories without words." Her cheeks flushed as she spoke, as if sharing a secret that had been locked away for too long. "You should get back to it," Jake encouraged, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "I bet you'd be amazing. Art is a great way to express what you're feeling, especially now." "Maybe," Amanda said, biting her lip. It's been so long since I picked up a brush." "Then it's time to change that," he said with a grin. "I could even help you out. I'm no artist, but I can be your cheerleader." "Cheerleader, huh? I don't know if I need one of those, but it's a nice thought." She laughed softly, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. As days turned into weeks, Amanda and Jake's friendship blossomed. They began to meet outside of the support group, grabbing coffee and exploring the local art scene together. With every shared smile and heartfelt conversation, Amanda felt herself slowly breaking free from the chains of her past. Jake was a breath of fresh air, a reminder that life could still hold meaning beyond the pain. One afternoon, inspired by their discussions, Amanda finally decided to act on Jake's suggestion. She ventured into a local art supply store, the smell of paint and canvas filling her with a sense of nostalgia. As she roamed the aisles, she picked up brushes, vibrant tubes of paint, and a blank canvas. It felt surreal, like she was reconnecting with a part of herself that had been dormant for far too long. When she returned home, Amanda set up a small workspace in her living room. The familiar weight of the brush in her hand felt both strange and exhilarating. She squeezed out the paint, the colors brightening her spirit as she began to create. The first strokes were hesitant, but as she lost herself in the process, the memories of her past began to fade, replaced by the vibrant hues on her canvas. Hours passed as Amanda painted, each stroke releasing a bit of the weight she had been carrying. As she stepped back to admire her work, a smile spread across her face. It wasn't perfect, but it was alive, just like her. The following day, she couldn't wait to show Jake what she had created. They met at their usual cafe, and as he walked in, Amanda waved him over, her heart racing with excitement. "Jake! You have to see this," she exclaimed, pulling out her phone to show him a picture of her painting. His eyes lit up as he admired her work. "Wow, Amanda! This is incredible. I can see so much emotion in it. You really captured something here." "Thanks," she said, her cheeks flushing at the praise. "It felt good to paint again. I didn't realize how much I missed it." "You should definitely keep going," Jake encouraged. "I think it's therapeutic for you. And who knows? Maybe we can do an art show together someday." "An art show?" Amanda laughed, the idea both thrilling and terrifying. "I don't know if I'm ready for that." "Why not? You're talented, and you have a story to tell." Besides, I'll be right there with you." He smiled warmly, and Amanda felt a rush of courage. "All right, maybe I can consider it," she replied, feeling a spark of determination ignite within her. Their banter continued, filled with laughter and plans for the future, a future that seemed brighter with each passing day. In those moments, Amanda realized that the connection she shared with Jake was growing deeper. They were both navigating their pain, but together they were discovering joy and purpose amidst the chaos. It was a bond forged through shared experiences, unspoken understanding, and the promise of healing. And as Amanda embraced her passion for art once more, she felt a renewed sense of hope blossoming in her heart. Amanda sat in the circle of the support group, her heart heavy with the stories of grief and pain that surrounded her. As the group met every Tuesday evening at the community center, she found herself drawn in by the shared experiences of loss. It was here that she first heard Clara's voice, a warm, yet weary sound that filled the room. "I just feel so overwhelmed sometimes," Clara had said during one of their sessions. "Being a single mother is not easy, and there are days when I question everything I do. I want to be strong for my son, but I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water." Amanda could see the tears glistening in Clara's eyes, and something in her own heart resonated with the other woman's struggle. After the meeting, Amanda approached Clara, her voice tentative. "I can relate. I don't have children, but I've been in a place where everything felt like too much. If you ever want to talk." Clara looked up, surprised but grateful. "Thank you, Amanda. That means a lot. Sometimes, it feels like no one understands." From that day on, they began to forge a bond that would grow stronger with every conversation and shared laugh. Amanda learned that Clara had a remarkable talent for cooking, often whipping up meals for her son, Josh, and dreaming of one day starting her own catering business. The thought sparked something inside Amanda, a flicker of inspiration that had been dormant for far too long. One afternoon, as they sat together in a cozy cafe, sipping on steaming mugs of coffee, Amanda broached the subject. "Clara, I've been thinking, what if we combined our strengths? Your cooking and my creativity could make something special." Clara raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What do you mean?" "Well, you love to cook, and I used to paint and create. What if we started a small catering business together? We could host events or even offer meal prep services. It could be a way for both of us to share our passions and maybe even make a little money on the side." Clara leaned back in her chair, a smile slowly spreading across her face. "That sounds amazing, Amanda. I've always wanted to do something like that, but I didn't think I had the resources or the support." Amanda nodded enthusiastically. "We could start small, maybe with friends and family, and then see where it takes us. I can help with the marketing and the creative side of things. You just need to keep doing what you do best." Clara's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Let's do it. We can brainstorm some ideas and come up with a name." As they began to plan, their friendship blossomed. They spent hours discussing recipes, creating menus, and even experimenting with flavors in Clara's kitchen. Amanda found herself laughing more, the weight of her own struggles lightened by the joy of collaborating with Clara. One evening, while they were testing a new dish, herb chicken with roasted vegetables, Clara shared her story. "I still remember the day I found out I was pregnant with Josh. I was terrified. I didn't have a stable job or a partner. It felt like my whole world had turned upside down." Amanda listened intently, her heart aching for her friend. "How did you get through it?" "I just had to take it one day at a time. Josh is my everything. I want to give him the best life possible, but sometimes I feel so alone, like I'm fighting this battle by myself." Clara wiped a stray tear from her cheek. "But having you as a friend makes it a little easier." "I'm here for you, Clara," Amanda said softly. We can build something together, and I know it'll be amazing because you're so talented." Their camaraderie deepened as they worked tirelessly to prepare for their first small event, a tasting party for friends and family. Clara was nervous but excited, while Amanda felt a renewed sense of purpose. The night before the event, they stayed up late, finalizing details and practicing their presentation. "Okay, so how do we introduce ourselves?" Amanda asked, jotting down notes on a notepad. Clara chuckled. "I think we should keep it simple. Just say who we are, what we love to do, and how we came together to create this business. Authenticity is key, right?" "Exactly. And we can share a little about our stories too. People connect with stories." As the day of the tasting arrived, Amanda and Clara transformed Clara's small living room into a charming, inviting space. They arranged tables with white tablecloths, displayed beautiful dishes, and created a cozy atmosphere with soft lighting and music playing gently in the background. When their friends and family began to arrive, Amanda's heart raced with anticipation. She watched as Clara welcomed everyone with warmth, her smile contagious. The aroma of the food filled the air, and soon the room was buzzing with conversation and laughter. "This is delicious," one of their friends exclaimed, savoring a bite of Clara's famous herb-infused chicken. "You two are onto something special." Amanda beamed with pride, watching Clara mingle with the guests, her confidence growing as she shared her culinary creations. As the evening progressed, they received praise and encouragement, and Amanda felt a sense of fulfillment that she hadn't experienced in a long time. Later in the evening, as the guests began to leave, Clara hugged Amanda tightly. "We did it. I can't believe how well it went. Thank you for believing in me." Amanda smiled through her own tears of joy. "You deserve this, Clara. Your talent is incredible, and I'm so proud of us." With their success fresh in their minds, they began to dream bigger. They envisioned a future where they could expand their business, cater for larger events, and perhaps even open a small cafe. But as their aspirations grew, Amanda knew she had her own journey to navigate, her feelings for Jake, the artist who had captured her heart in ways she hadn't expected. "Clara," Amanda said one evening as they cleaned up after another successful gathering, "I've been thinking about Jake a lot lately." Clara paused, looking at Amanda with concern. "How are you feeling about him?" "I care about him, but I'm worried. He's been distant, and I don't know how to support him. He's going through so much, and I want to be there for him, but I'm afraid of pushing him away." Clara nodded, understanding the complexity of emotions. "Have you talked to him about how you feel?" "Sometimes, opening up can help bridge that gap." "I haven't yet," Amanda admitted. "I'm scared of what he might say. What if he doesn't feel the same way?" "You won't know until you try," Clara encouraged. "You've come so far since the accident, Amanda. You deserve to be happy, and so does he. Just be honest with him." With Clara's words echoing in her mind, Amanda felt a surge of determination. She resolved to have that conversation with Jake. They had both been through so much, and perhaps it was time to address the unspoken bond that had formed between them. In the weeks that followed, while Amanda and Clara continued to nurture their burgeoning catering business, Amanda also prepared herself to confront her feelings for Jake. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but with Clara's unwavering support, she felt ready to take the next step in her journey, both in her friendship with Clara and in her connection with Jake. The sun hung low in the Denver sky, casting a golden hue over the city as Amanda and Clara prepared for their tasting event. The aroma of spices and freshly baked goods wafted through Clara's small but inviting kitchen, creating an atmosphere of excitement mixed with a hint of anxiety. They had spent countless hours planning, cooking, and perfecting their dishes, and now the moment had finally arrived. Clara stood at the kitchen island, carefully arranging a platter of her signature mini quiches. "What do you think, Amanda? Do they look all right?" she asked, her brow furrowed in concentration. They look amazing. Amanda replied, unable to hide her enthusiasm. I can already picture everyone's faces when they taste them. You've got this, Clara. Clara smiled, her confidence slightly bolstered by Amanda's words. I just hope they like the flavors. I experimented with a few new ones this time. She picked up a quiche, holding it up for Amanda to see. This one has spinach and feta. I always think of my mom when I make it. She used to cook it for me every Sunday. Your mom had great taste, Amanda said, nodding appreciatively. It's sentimental, and I'm sure everyone will love it. You should be proud of what you've created. As they finished arranging the food, Amanda glanced at the clock hanging on the wall. We should start setting up the tables outside. People will be arriving soon. Right. Let's do this, Clara said, her voice filled with determination. Together, they moved to the backyard, where they had set up a few folding tables adorned with checkered tablecloths. The sun was shining brightly, and the sound of laughter and chatter from friends and family filled the air. Can you believe we're actually doing this? Amanda said, her heart racing with excitement. I mean, just a few months ago, I was lost, and now look at us. Clara paused, looking around at the cheerful setup. I know. It feels incredible. I never imagined I'd be hosting an event like this, but here we are. And we did it together. As they arranged plates and utensils, Amanda felt a surge of gratitude for the friendship they had forged. It was more than just a partnership in catering. It was a bond that had carried them both through their individual struggles. Hey, Amanda, Clara said suddenly, her voice a little softer. Do you think Jake will come? Amanda's heart skipped a beat at the mention of his name. I hope so. He's been really busy with his art and everything, but I think he'll want to support us. Clara nodded, her expression thoughtful. He seems like a good guy. I can see you two have a connection. Yeah, we do, Amanda admitted, her cheeks flushing slightly. But it's complicated. He's still dealing with a lot, and I don't want to push him. Just be honest with him. That's what you need to do, Clara encouraged, her gaze steady. You both deserve happiness, and sometimes that means taking risks. Before Amanda could respond, guests began to arrive, and a wave of energy swept over the backyard. Friends and family mingled, their laughter filling the space as they admired the food laid out on the tables. Clara's heart soared as she saw her loved ones enjoying the dishes she had poured her heart into. Look at them. They actually like it. Clara exclaimed, her voice tinged with disbelief. Amanda grinned, wrapping her arm around Clara's shoulder. I told you. You're a culinary genius. Just as Amanda was about to grab another tray of food, she spotted Jake walking through the gate. His presence seemed to light up the area, and her heart raced at the sight of him. He wore a casual white shirt and jeans, his hair slightly tousled by the breeze. Jake, she called out, waving enthusiastically. He glanced up, a faint smile crossing his face as he approached. Hey, Amanda. This looks incredible. Thanks. Clara did most of the cooking, Amanda said, nodding toward her friend, who was busy chatting with some guests. I'm sure you helped, Jake replied, his eyes glinting with warmth. I'm really proud of you both. This is a big step. Clara joined them, her eyes sparkling. Jake. I'm so glad you came. Please try the mini quiches. They're my specialty. He accepted a quiche from Clara, taking a considerate bite. His eyes widened with surprise. Wow, this is really good. You've outdone yourself, Clara. Thank you. I'm just glad everyone's enjoying it, she said, beaming with pride. As the event continued, Amanda and Jake found themselves gravitating toward each other. Their conversations flowed easily, filled with laughter and shared stories. Yet, Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that Jake was still holding back. "Are you enjoying the food?" Amanda asked, leaning against the table and watching him closely. "Very much," he replied, his tone sincere but his eyes distant. "I'm really impressed by everything you two have accomplished." "Clara's the real star here," Amanda said, nudging Clara playfully. "I just support her creativity." "You both inspire me," Jake said, his voice softening. "It's great to see you moving forward." Amanda smiled, but a twinge of concern crept into her heart. "How about you? Are you finding ways to move forward too?" He paused, his expression turning serious. "I'm trying. It's just, sometimes it feels overwhelming. I don't want to drag anyone else down with my issues, you know." Amanda took a deep breath, her heart aching for him. "You're not dragging me down, Jake. I want to be there for you. We're all facing our battles in our own ways." He looked at her, his gaze searching. "I appreciate that, truly. It's just tough to open up." "Then don't open up all at once. Just let me in a little at a time," Amanda suggested gently. Jake nodded slowly, a flicker of gratitude in his eyes. "I'll try. It's just nice to know I can lean on someone like you." As the evening wore on, Clara made her way to the center of the crowd, raising her glass for a toast. "I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming and supporting our little venture. This means the world to us." Cheers erupted from the guests, and Amanda felt a swell of pride for Clara. "To friendship," Clara continued, her voice ringing out. "And to new beginnings." "To new beginnings," everyone echoed, raising their glasses. As the clinking of glasses filled the air, Amanda felt a surge of hope. Clara's culinary dreams were blossoming, and perhaps her own emotional journey was also beginning to take shape. She glanced at Jake, who was smiling, and for a moment, their eyes locked in a shared understanding. "Hey, Amanda," Jake said, breaking the moment. "What's next for you? I mean, after this?" "I'm not sure yet," Amanda confessed. "I want to keep painting and see where that goes. Maybe even have my own exhibition one day." "I'd love to help you with that," Jake offered, a genuine smile lighting up his face. "We could collaborate. Your art deserves to be seen." "Really?" Amanda's heart raced at the prospect. "That would be amazing." "Let's make it happen," he said, his enthusiasm infectious. As the night unfolded, the connections between them deepened, and Amanda realized that despite the uncertainties that lay ahead, she was ready to embrace whatever came next. The laughter, the food, and the warmth of friendship surrounded her, promising new beginnings not just for Clara, but also for herself and perhaps for Jake. And as they shared stories and dreams under the twinkling stars, Amanda felt a flicker of hope blossoming within her, a hope that she could reclaim her life, her passions, and maybe even her heart. Amanda sat on her living room floor, surrounded by a kaleidoscope of paint tubes and brushes. The sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow on her newly reawakened passion for art. Yet, even as she immersed herself in colors, her mind kept drifting back to Jake. The previous weeks had been a whirlwind of emotions. Amanda had begun to feel alive again, painting her worries away, but Jake had become increasingly distant. Their conversations, once filled with laughter and shared pain, had turned into brief exchanges that left her feeling more confused and anxious than before. The connection they had forged in the group felt strained, like a delicate thread on the verge of snapping. Sighing, Amanda picked up a brush and began to dab it into a vibrant blue, but the color reminded her of the depths she sensed within Jake. She put the brush down and grabbed a piece of canvas, staring at it as if it held the answers to her questions. The image of Jake's sad smile haunted her. She remembered the way his eyes glistened with unfallen tears when he spoke of his late wife. It was a look that echoed her own grief, and it was becoming unbearable to see him retreat within himself. That night, as darkness enveloped the city of Denver, Amanda found herself unable to sleep. The familiar hum of the city outside her window was drowned out by the turmoil in her heart. She felt a pull, a desperate need to reach out to Jake, but every time she thought about doing so, her doubts flooded in. What if he didn't want to talk? What if her concern only pushed him further away? In a moment of inspiration, Amanda picked up her brush again and began to paint. This time, she poured her heart onto the canvas, allowing her emotions to guide her strokes. She painted a stormy sky, swirling with dark blues and grays, but at the center, she added a bright, radiant sun breaking through the clouds. It was a symbol of hope, the hope that she felt for both herself and for Jake. "I just want you to see this, Jake," she whispered to the empty room, tears brimming in her eyes. "I want you to feel what I feel." After hours of painting, Amanda finally stepped back to survey her work. The canvas was a chaotic representation of her thoughts and feelings, but amidst the chaos, the sun shone brightly, a beacon of love and understanding. She knew she had to show it to Jake, to let him know that he wasn't alone in his struggles. The next day, Amanda sat in her favorite cafe, nervously stirring her coffee. She had texted Jake earlier, inviting him to meet her, but his response had been slow in coming. Anxiety gnawed at her stomach as she glanced at the door every time it swung open. Finally, she heard the familiar sound of the bell above the entrance, and her heart raced as Jake walked in, his expression unreadable. "Hey," he said softly, taking a seat across from her. His hair was slightly disheveled, and there were dark circles under his eyes that made her heart ache. "Hey," she replied, forcing a smile despite her worry. Jake looked down at the table, tracing the wood grain with his finger. "I got your text. What's up?" Amanda took a deep breath, gathering her courage. I painted something last night. I wanted you to see it. I thought it might help you." He looked up, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "You painted something for me." "Not just for you," she clarified, "but for us. I want you to know that I care. That you're not alone in this." Jake leaned back in his chair, a mixture of surprise and uncertainty flashing across his face. "I don't know, Amanda. I don't want to drag you into my mess. But I'm already in it, Jake," she insisted, her voice steadying. "You can't keep pushing me away. You mean too much to me for that." He frowned, his gaze falling back to the table. "It's just hard. I thought I could handle it, but some days it feels like it's all too much." "I get that," Amanda replied, her heart aching for him. "But you don't have to handle it alone. Let me in, please." After a moment of silence, Jake nodded slowly. "Okay. Show me what you painted." Amanda felt a rush of relief as they left the cafe and made their way to her apartment. Her heart raced with anticipation and fear as she opened the door and led him to her makeshift art space. The canvas stood on the easel, the vibrant colors a stark contrast to the somber mood that had settled between them. Jake stepped closer, his eyes widening as he took in the painting. "Wow, Amanda, this is incredible. Do you see it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "The storm, and the sun breaking through." He nodded, his expression softening. "It's beautiful. I can feel the emotion in it, the struggle. It's like you captured everything I've been feeling." Tears filled Amanda's eyes as she continued, "I wanted you to know that even when it feels like you're lost in the storm, there's still hope. You just have to keep looking for it." Jake turned to her, his gaze intense. "You really care, don't you?" "Of course I do," she said, her voice trembling. "We're in this together. I'm not going anywhere." He stepped closer, and Amanda could see the turmoil in his eyes. "I'm scared, Amanda. Scared that I'll drag you down with me. You're so full of life, and I feel like I'm just existing. You're more than that, Jake. You're an artist, you're passionate, and you have so much to give." "We all have our battles to fight," she replied, her heart racing as she reached out, placing a hand over his. "Let me help you fight yours." Jake closed his eyes for a moment, and Amanda could see the conflict within him. "It's hard to let people in," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've built these walls to protect myself, but they're suffocating." "Then let me break them down," Amanda urged gently. "I want to be here for you." Finally, Jake opened his eyes, and Amanda saw a flicker of something, vulnerability, perhaps, or hope. "I don't know how to do this," he confessed, his voice cracking. "Neither do I," she replied. "But we can figure it out together. Just, don't shut me out." He took a deep breath, and for a moment, they stood there in silence, the weight of their shared pain hanging in the air between them. Then, slowly, Jake nodded. "Okay. I'll try. I'll try to let you in." "Thank you," Amanda breathed, relief washing over her. "That's all I ask. Just take it one step at a time." As they stood there, a fragile yet hopeful connection began to form anew, a promise of understanding and support. In that moment, Amanda felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, warming the edges of her heart. She knew the road ahead would be challenging, but for the first time in a long while, she felt ready to face it, together with Jake. As the sun began to set over Denver, casting a golden glow through the kitchen windows, Amanda and Clara found themselves in a whirlwind of culinary chaos. The aroma of spices mingled with the sound of sizzling pans, creating an atmosphere that felt electric. They were a day away from their big tasting event, and Clara was running through the final preparations with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. "Okay, Amanda," Clara said, stirring a pot of marinara sauce on the stove. "Can you pass me the basil? It's in that jar over there. We need to make sure everything is perfect for tomorrow." Amanda turned and rummaged through the clutter of herbs and spices, her heart racing with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. This was their moment to shine, to showcase the catering business they had dreamed of starting together. But the weight of the event loomed heavily on Clara's shoulders, and Amanda could sense the tension in her friend's demeanor. "Here you go," Amanda said, handing Clara the jar. "You've got this. The food smells amazing." Clara took a deep breath, a hint of a smile breaking through her worry. "Thanks. I really want everyone to love it. If this goes well, it could open so many doors for us." "Of course they will. You're an incredible cook," Amanda reassured, though she could feel a nagging anxiety of her own. They had worked hard, but the pressure was mounting, and they were both feeling it. Just as Clara added the basil, her phone buzzed on the countertop. She quickly wiped her hands on a kitchen towel and grabbed it, her expression shifting from concentration to shock. "Oh no! This can't be happening," she exclaimed, her voice tinged with panic. "What is it?" Amanda asked, sensing Clara's rising distress. "It's the supplier. They just canceled our delivery for the event." Clara's voice quivered as she sank onto a stool, her face pale. "They said they had a logistics issue and couldn't fulfill our order." Amanda's heart sank alongside Clara's. "What does that mean for us?" "It means we're missing key ingredients for half of our menu. I don't know what we're going to do." Clara buried her face in her hands, overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events. Amanda felt a surge of determination. "We can't give up. We've worked too hard for this. Let's brainstorm." What can we do with what we have? She stepped closer, trying to quell Clara's rising panic. Clara looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I just wanted everything to be perfect. I'm a single mom, and this was my chance to prove myself. What if it all falls apart? Listen, Amanda said, kneeling beside Clara and placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. You've already proven so much. We've come this far. Let's get creative. We can improvise. What do we have in the fridge and pantry? Clara took a deep breath, her resolve slowly returning. Okay, let's see. We have chicken, some vegetables, pasta, and a few spices. We could probably whip up a couple of different dishes. Amanda stood up, a spark of excitement igniting within her. Exactly. Let's turn this into something unexpected. We can make a pasta dish with the chicken and vegetables, and maybe a salad to go along with it. We'll just have to adjust the menu. Right. Clara said, her voice gaining strength. And I still have some leftover dessert options. We can use those to sweeten the deal. They jumped into action, their previous anxiety transforming into a flurry of energy. Clara started chopping vegetables while Amanda seasoned the chicken, their laughter and chatter filling the kitchen. As they cooked, they shared stories, their bond deepening with every shared laugh and every successful dish they created. I can't believe we're doing this, Clara remarked, stirring a pot of boiling pasta. It's kind of exhilarating, isn't it? Absolutely. It's like we're professional chefs now, Amanda joked, her confidence growing. Who needs a catering supplier when we can whip up magic ourselves? As the hours passed, the kitchen filled with an array of mouth-watering dishes. They created a vibrant chicken primavera, a fresh garden salad, and Clara even found a way to integrate her leftover dessert into a delightful fruit parfait. The kitchen was a flurry of colors and aromas, and Amanda couldn't help but feel proud of what they had accomplished together. Look at this! Clara exclaimed, arranging the dishes on a platter. It's beautiful. I can't believe we turned this around. Amanda stepped back, admiring their work. This looks like something out of a gourmet magazine. I can't wait for everyone to taste it. Just then, Clara's phone buzzed again, and she glanced at the screen, her expression shifting to one of concern. It's just my mom checking in on the kids. I should probably call her back. Go ahead, Amanda encouraged, sensing that Clara needed a moment. I'll finish up here. Clara nodded, stepping outside to make the call. Alone in the kitchen, Amanda took a moment to reflect on how far they had come. This wasn't just about the food, it was about finding strength in each other, overcoming obstacles, and turning setbacks into opportunities. When Clara returned, she had a renewed energy. Okay, I'm back. What's next on our agenda? Let's set everything up for tomorrow's tasting. We need to make sure we present it beautifully, Amanda suggested, feeling the excitement bubbling within her. As they began to arrange the dishes, Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that this event was more than just a catering opportunity, it was a chance for both of them to take control of their destinies. You know, Clara, whatever happens tomorrow, I'm proud of us, Amanda said, a smile spreading across her face. Me too. We've made something incredible out of nothing, Clara replied, her own smile brightening the room. And we did it together. Later that evening, they cleaned up the kitchen, exhaustion creeping in but satisfaction coursing through their veins. As they sat down with a glass of wine, Clara raised her glass. To us, to our friendship, and to whatever the future holds. To us. Amanda echoed, clinking her glass against Clara's. They both took a sip, savoring the moment of camaraderie and triumph. In that moment, they knew they had not just created a meal, they had woven a tapestry of resilience, friendship, and hope, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The atmosphere was charged with excitement as Amanda, Clara, and Jake celebrated the recent success of their catering event. The trio had worked tirelessly to overcome obstacles that threatened their dreams, and the satisfaction of their hard work filled the room. Laughter echoed as they clinked glasses, sipping on sparkling apple cider, a celebratory alternative to champagne. "Can you believe how many people showed up?" Clara exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "I thought we might end up with a handful of friends at most." Jake nodded, the corners of his mouth turning upward in a grin. It was a full house. You could feel the energy in the air. "Your dishes were a hit, Clara. I'm still dreaming about that chocolate mousse." "Thanks," Clara replied, a flush of pride warming her cheeks. "I never imagined I'd get such a response. It makes all those late nights in the kitchen worth it." Amanda leaned back in her chair, a content smile on her face. "You deserve all the credit, Clara. You poured your heart into this. And we couldn't have pulled it off without your culinary magic." As they reveled in the moment, Jake's expression shifted slightly, a shadow crossing his features. Amanda noticed, her heart sinking as she sensed something was amiss. After the highs of the evening, she had hoped for a quiet moment to bask in their accomplishments, but she could see the internal struggle reflected in Jake's eyes. "Hey, what's on your mind?" Amanda asked gently, her voice breaking through the laughter. "You've been quiet since we started celebrating." Jake took a deep breath, the weight of his thoughts pressing down on him. "I've been thinking about everything." He paused, glancing at Clara, who was busy checking her phone for messages. "It's just that I got an offer." Amanda's heart raced, a knot forming in her stomach. "An offer? What kind of offer?" Jake hesitated, his fingers fidgeting with the collar of his shirt. "A gallery in Seattle reached out to me. They want to showcase my work and offered me a position to help curate their next exhibition." The words hung in the air, heavy and laden with implications. Amanda felt a wave of disappointment wash over her. "Seattle?" she echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. "That's far away." "I know," Jake replied, his eyes meeting hers, filled with conflict. "It's a big opportunity for me, and I can't help but feel like I should take it. I've been stuck in this cycle of grief, and maybe this could be a way to move forward, to find some closure." Clara, sensing the shift in mood, put her phone down and leaned in, concern etched on her face. "Jake, that sounds amazing. But, are you sure this is what you want? What about us? What about everything we just accomplished together?" Jake sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I want to be excited about this, really. But I can't shake the feeling that if I leave, I'll be abandoning the connections I've made here. Especially with you, Amanda." He turned to her, his expression softening. "You've helped me so much, and I don't want to hurt you." Amanda's heart sank at his words, the thought of losing Jake gnawing at her. "You're not going to hurt me by pursuing your dreams, Jake. I want you to be happy. I didn't expect to hear this tonight." "I didn't want to ruin the celebration," Jake said, his voice thick with emotion. "I've been feeling so much these past few weeks, and I thought maybe I could figure things out before bringing it up. But now, I don't know how to navigate this." Clara looked between the two of them, her heart heavy with understanding. "It's a tough decision, Jake. But whatever choice you make, you need to consider what's best for you. It's okay to need space to heal." "Space?" Amanda echoed, feeling a sting of fear at the word. "What do you mean by space?" Jake sighed deeply, the weight of his thoughts pressing down on him. "I mean, maybe I need to step back for a bit. Focus on my own healing. I care about you, Amanda, but I can't give you what you deserve if I'm still lost in my own pain." Amanda's heart raced, a mix of anger and sadness swirling within her. So you're saying that you'd leave? Just like that? I thought we were building something together, Jake. I thought you felt the same way. I do feel the same way. Jake's voice rose slightly, frustration evident. But I also need to be honest with myself. I can't keep dragging you into my chaos. You've shown me light in my darkest times, but I can't let you be my crutch. I need to stand on my own 2 feet. Clara leaned in closer, her voice soft yet firm. Jake, you don't have to do this alone. We're all here for you. You're part of this group, part of our lives. But you also need to be true to yourself. If you think that moving to Seattle is what you need, then you should consider it. Amanda looked at Clara, grateful for her support but feeling the sting of betrayal from Jake's words. You make it sound so simple. Just follow what feels right and leave everything behind. But what about us? Jake's eyes were filled with regret. I wish it was simple. But I can't ignore the pull I feel toward this opportunity. It's not just about leaving, it's about finding who I am again. And I don't know if I can do that here, or with you. The silence that followed was deafening, punctuated only by the soft sound of glasses clinking in the background. Amanda felt tears welling in her eyes, a mix of frustration and heartbreak. I just wish you'd give us a chance, give yourself a chance to heal here, with us. Jake stepped closer, his voice softening. I don't want to hurt you, Amanda. You've been my anchor, and I can't express how much that means to me. But I also don't want to hold you back from living your life. Amanda felt a lump in her throat, every word he spoke resonating with truth, but it hurt to hear. You're not holding me back. You're a part of my life now, and I want to be a part of yours. But I can't force you to stay. Then what do I do? Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Clara, sensing the fragility of the moment, interjected. You need to be honest with yourself and each other. Whatever decision you make, Amanda deserves to know where you stand. The tension in the air thickened, and Amanda felt her heart race. You need to choose, Jake. Do you want this connection with me, or do you want to chase after something else? Because I can't be in limbo while you figure it out. Jake's gaze dropped to the floor, the weight of her words pressing heavily on his chest. I don't want to lose you. But I also can't ignore this opportunity. I need to think. Think quickly, Amanda urged, her voice trembling. Because I can't keep waiting for you to decide what you want. My life can't be put on hold. As silence enveloped them, the 3 of them stood there, their dreams and fears hanging in the balance. What had started as a night of celebration had turned into an emotional crossroads, and Amanda knew that whatever path Jake chose would shape not only his future but hers as well. Amanda sat on a weathered bench in the small park where she had met Jake for their heart-to-heart talk. The vibrant colors of autumn leaves danced in the gentle breeze, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. She could see the faint outline of Jake approaching, his familiar figure wrapped in a soft, gray sweater that seemed to enhance the warmth of his presence. Her heart raced as she sensed the weight of the conversation that lay ahead. As he drew closer, she noticed the faint shadows under his eyes, remnants of sleepless nights and unspoken burdens. Amanda took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she hoped would be a pivotal moment in their relationship. Hey, Jake said softly, his voice tinged with uncertainty. Thanks for asking to meet. Of course, Amanda replied, forcing a smile despite the knot tightening in her stomach. I thought it was time we talked, really talked. They settled onto the bench, the crisp air wrapping around them like a fragile cocoon. For a moment, they simply sat in silence, allowing the rustling leaves and distant sounds of laughter from children playing nearby to fill the void. Amanda could feel her heart pounding in her chest, each beat reminding her of the vulnerability that came with bearing one's soul. Finally, she turned to him, her expression earnest. Jake, I know things have been difficult for you since everything happened. But I need you to know how much your support has meant to me. Jake shifted slightly, the tension in his shoulders evident. I appreciate that, Amanda. But I'm not sure I'm in the right place to be a support for anyone right now. His voice cracked, revealing a glimpse of the pain he tried so hard to conceal. You are, she insisted, her eyes locking onto his. You've been there for me when I felt lost. You listened when I shared my fears and doubts. You gave me the courage to pick up my paintbrush again. I can't just sit back and watch you struggle without saying anything. He exhaled heavily, a mix of frustration and sadness swirling in the air between them. It's complicated, he said, his gaze drifting to the ground. I thought that moving away would help me escape the memories, the pain of losing her. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that running away isn't the answer. Amanda's heart ached for him. She reached out, placing her hand gently over his. You don't have to go through this alone. You have me, and Clara too. We're here to help you, to support you. But I feel like you're shutting us out. Jake looked up, his blue eyes shimmering with unshed tears. I don't want to burden you with my pain. You're finding your way back to life, and I don't want to drag you down with me. But you're not a burden, she replied passionately. You're my friend. And friends share their burdens. I want to be there for you, just like you've been there for me. Let me in, Jake. He paused, weighing her words as if they carried the weight of the world. It's just. I'm scared, Amanda. Scared of feeling again, scared of getting close to someone and losing them. After losing her, I built walls around my heart to protect myself. I understand that fear, she said gently, squeezing his hand. I felt it too after the accident. But I realized that shutting everyone out only made me feel more isolated. Life is too short to live in fear. What if we could face our fears together? A flicker of hope ignited in Jake's eyes as he contemplated her words. You really believe that? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I do, she assured him. You don't have to have all the answers right now. Just take it one step at a time. Let's face our pasts together and discover what's possible in the future. He took a deep breath, the weight of her sincerity washing over him like a balm. I've been thinking a lot lately, he admitted, his voice steadier. About what really matters to me. And I know I can't keep running away from my feelings or from you. Then don't, Amanda urged, a smile breaking through the tension. Let's be honest with ourselves and each other. You mean so much to me, Jake. I've never felt this way about anyone since the accident. Jake's heart raced at her admission, a mixture of relief and confusion swirling within him. I've felt it too, Amanda, he confessed, his voice trembling with raw emotion. But I didn't know how to acknowledge it. I thought it was too soon, too complicated. Maybe it is complicated, she said, her voice soft yet determined. But that doesn't mean it's not worth exploring. I want you in my life, Jake. I want to see where this connection can take us. He hesitated, searching her eyes for any sign of doubt. But all he found was unwavering sincerity. I don't want to hurt you, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I'm still healing. And I'm right here with you, Amanda replied, her heart swelling. Let's take it slow. We can figure this out together. Just promise me you won't push me away. Jake nodded slowly, the tension in his body beginning to ease. I promise, he said, his voice steadying. I want to try. I want to see where this goes. A wave of relief washed over Amanda, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a glimmer of hope. Thank you, she whispered, her voice barely audible amidst the sounds of the park. That means everything to me." As they sat there, hand in hand, the world around them faded away, leaving only the warmth of their connection. The autumn leaves continued to fall, a reminder of the beauty that could emerge from change and the promise of new beginnings. In that moment, both Amanda and Jake understood that while their journeys were still fraught with challenges, they were no longer alone. They had each other, and together they could face whatever came next, embracing the uncertainties of the future with open hearts and shared resolve. Amanda and Clara were sitting at the small kitchen table in Clara's apartment, surrounded by a whirlwind of colorful ingredients and half-finished dishes. The aroma of fresh herbs hung in the air, mingling with the laughter that echoed from the living room. They had transformed the space into a makeshift cooking studio, a reflection of their newfound friendship and shared dreams. "Okay, what do you think about adding a pinch of smoked paprika to the risotto?" Clara asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. She had a natural flair for cooking, and Amanda could see the passion radiating from her as she meticulously chopped vegetables for their latest catering project. "Absolutely. It'll give it that extra kick we need," Amanda replied, her own enthusiasm bubbling over as she stirred the creamy mixture in the pot. She had never imagined herself in the kitchen, but ever since teaming up with Clara, she had discovered a hidden talent for cooking. It was another way to express her creativity, just like painting. "And maybe we could add some sautéed mushrooms on top for presentation." Clara's face lit up. "That's a brilliant idea. We want to impress our clients with both taste and aesthetics." She paused, leaning against the counter, her expression turning more serious. "You know, Amanda, I've been thinking. What if we expand our menu beyond just this event? We could offer weekly specials and even meal prep services for busy families." Amanda looked up, her spoon frozen mid-stir. "You really think we could pull that off?" "Why not? We've already had such great feedback from our tastings," Clara said, her voice filled with conviction. "I believe we can create something special here. You're an incredible cook, and I can handle the business side of things. Together, we could make a real impact." As Amanda considered Clara's suggestion, she felt a surge of hope. The idea of expanding their catering business felt exciting, as if they were standing at the precipice of something greater. "You're right. We can do this," she said, her voice growing stronger. "Let's brainstorm some ideas and see what we can come up with." The two women spent the next hour tossing around ideas, scribbling notes on a notepad, and laughing at the ridiculous combinations they proposed. Amanda could feel Clara's energy igniting a fire within her, pushing her to think bigger than she ever had before. Later that evening, as they sat down to enjoy the fruits of their labor, Clara's demeanor shifted again. She leaned back in her chair, her brow furrowing slightly. "Amanda, can I be honest with you about something?" "Of course," Amanda replied, her heart pounding slightly. She had learned that Clara was not one to shy away from difficult conversations, and she respected her for it. "I've been thinking about going back to school. I want to study gastronomy and really hone my skills. I feel like I could take our business to the next level if I had a formal education," Clara confessed, her voice trembling slightly. Amanda's heart sank for a moment. "But what about the business? You're doing so well here." "I know, and I love what we're building together," Clara said quickly, her hands gesturing passionately. "But I want to be the best I can be for this. I don't want to hold us back because I'm not fully trained. You deserve a partner who's as skilled as you are." "A partner?" Amanda echoed, her mind racing. "You're already amazing, Clara. You have a natural gift for this, and you're teaching me so much. I don't want you to feel like you have to go to school to prove yourself." Clara smiled softly, but Amanda could see the conflict in her eyes. "I appreciate that, truly. But I want to feel more confident in my abilities. I want to create dishes that not only taste good but also tell a story." I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of my potential." Amanda nodded slowly, understanding the yearning in Clara's voice. "I get it. It's like when I started painting again. I felt like I was rediscovering a part of myself that I had lost. You should pursue that dream if it's something you're passionate about." Clara beamed at her friend's support, and Amanda felt a warmth spread through her chest. In that moment, they both realized how deeply they had come to care for one another. "Thank you, Amanda. I knew you'd understand." "Of course. And if you go back to school, I'll be your biggest cheerleader. We can still work on the business while you study." "We'll make it work," Amanda promised, her determination firm. "And who knows? Maybe we can even collaborate on a project that showcases what you learn." "Now that's an idea," Clara said, her eyes wide with excitement. "We could host pop-up dining events where I showcase my new skills, and you bring your artistic flair to the presentation. It could be a way to build our brand even more." As they shared ideas, the kitchen buzzed with the energy of their plans. The two women spent hours discussing their future endeavors, their laughter echoing off the walls, as they crafted a vision for their budding business. It was a conversation filled with hope, ambition, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The next few weeks flew by in a whirlwind of activity. Amanda and Clara worked tirelessly, cooking, tasting, and perfecting their dishes. Their small catering business began to gain traction, and they started receiving inquiries for events and parties. Each new client felt like a step toward realizing their dreams. One evening, as they cleaned up after a particularly successful tasting, Amanda turned to Clara with a grin. "Can you believe how far we've come in such a short time?" "I know. It feels like just yesterday we were brainstorming ideas over that first risotto," Clara said, her smile radiant. "And now look at us. We're on the verge of something huge." "But I can't help but think about your plans for school," Amanda said, her tone shifting slightly. "Have you made any decisions?" Clara sighed, her expression contemplative. "I've been looking into programs, but I'm also hesitant. What if it takes too much time away from the business? I don't want to jeopardize what we've built together." "Aren't you worried about regretting not pursuing your passion?" Amanda asked gently. "You deserve to chase your dreams, Clara. I mean, look at what we've accomplished. You're already an incredible chef." "I know, but I also want to be a chef who can innovate and lead," Clara replied, her voice resolute. "I want to create a legacy, not just a business." Amanda nodded, her heart swelling with pride for her friend. "Then go for it. We'll find a way to make it work. I'll help you however I can." As Clara absorbed Amanda's words, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. "You're right. I owe it to myself to at least try." And with that, the two friends returned to their work, the kitchen once again filled with the sounds of laughter and the sizzling of pans. They knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, bound by their dreams and their unwavering support for one another. In that moment, Amanda realized that her journey to find herself after the accident had led her not only back to painting but also to an unexpected partnership with Clara. Together, they were forging a path filled with hope, creativity, and the promise of a future that was just beginning to unfold. As sun began to set over Denver, casting a warm golden hue across the bustling streets, Amanda stood in front of the large canvas that dominated the room. The local art gallery was buzzing with life, filled with friends, family, and community members who had come to support her first exhibition. It was a moment of triumph, yet Amanda felt an inexplicable sense of anxiety building within her. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. The vibrant colors of her paintings seemed to dance before her eyes, but her thoughts were elsewhere. She was acutely aware of Jake's absence, the man who had not only inspired her to pick up the brush again but had also become a significant part of her healing journey. Their connection had grown deeper over the past few weeks, yet she was uncertain about where they stood now. Just as Amanda was lost in her thoughts, Clara approached her, a wide smile on her face, her hands full of small hors d'oeuvres she had prepared for the event. "Amanda! Look at how many people showed up. This is incredible!" Clara exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I know. It's just... I wish Jake were here," Amanda replied, her voice trailing off. "He was supposed to be my rock today." Clara's expression softened as she placed a reassuring hand on Amanda's shoulder. "He will come. I can feel it. He wouldn't miss this for the world. You've poured your heart into this, and he knows that." Just as Clara finished speaking, the gallery door swung open, and a gust of cool air swept through the room. Amanda turned, her heart racing at the sight of Jake walking in. He looked slightly disheveled but undeniably handsome with his tousled hair and the way he carried himself. The moment their eyes met, Amanda felt a rush of relief and warmth. Jake scanned the room, searching for Amanda, and when their gazes locked, a smile broke across his face. He made his way through the crowd, each step purposeful. "Hey," he said softly, his voice barely above the hum of chatter around them as he reached her. "Hey," Amanda replied, her heart pounding. "I didn't think you'd come." "I wouldn't have missed it for anything," he said, his eyes glistening with sincerity. "I'm really proud of you. This is amazing." Amanda glanced around, taking in the various pieces of art she had poured her soul into. "Thanks, Jake. It means a lot to me that you're here," she said, her voice steadying. "I was worried you might still be considering that move." Jake's smile faltered for a moment, a shadow passing over his face. "I was," he admitted, his tone turning serious. "But I realized something today." "What's that?" Amanda asked, a knot forming in her stomach. "This place, your art, your friends, and most importantly, you, this is where I want to be. I've been running from my pain, thinking that starting fresh somewhere else would help, but I don't want to run anymore. I want to face it here, with you." A wave of relief washed over Amanda, and she could feel her heart begin to soar. "Really? You mean that?" "Absolutely," Jake replied, taking a step closer. "I've been scared, but I can't face this without you. You've helped me more than you know." Clara, who had been watching the exchange from a distance, felt her heart swell with happiness. This was the moment she had hoped for, her two friends finding their way back to each other. "You both are incredible," she chimed in, breaking the tension. "This is a celebration. Let's celebrate your art, your journey, and the fact that you're both here together." "Right," Amanda said, her smile returning. "Let's make the most of this night." As the evening progressed, people began to mingle, admiring Amanda's artwork while indulging in the culinary delights Clara had prepared. Laughter filled the air, and the atmosphere was electric with energy. "Your paintings are beautiful, Amanda," Jake said, standing beside her as they observed the guests. "Each piece tells a story, and it's clear that you've put your heart into them." "Thank you," Amanda replied, warmth spreading through her. "I couldn't have done it without your encouragement. You pushed me to rediscover my passion. Art has a way of healing, doesn't it?" Jake mused, glancing at a particularly striking piece that depicted a stormy sea, its colors swirling dramatically. "This one feels like it has a lot of emotion behind it." "It does," Amanda nodded, her voice softening. "It represents my struggles and fears, but also my journey to find peace. I guess it's a reflection of where I've been and where I'm trying to go." Jake turned to her, his expression earnest. "And you're not alone in that journey. I want to be there with you, Amanda. I want to help you navigate through it all." Just then, Clara returned, holding a glass of wine. "You two look deep in conversation. What are you plotting?" she teased, raising an eyebrow. Just talking about art and healing, Jake replied, his tone lightening. And how much this night means to us. Clara smiled, her heart swelling with joy. It means a lot to all of us. This isn't just about your art, Amanda. It's about the connections we've forged, friendship, love, and support. We're all in this together. Absolutely, Amanda agreed, raising her glass. To friendship and new beginnings. To friendship. Jake and Clara echoed, clinking their glasses together. As the night wore on, the three of them moved through the gallery, sharing stories and laughter with their guests. Amanda felt a sense of belonging that she had longed for since her accident. Surrounded by the warmth of her friends and community, she realized that she was no longer just surviving, she was living. Later in the evening, as the crowd began to thin, Jake pulled Amanda aside to a quieter corner of the gallery, away from the noise. "Can we talk?" he asked, his expression serious again. "Of course," Amanda replied, her heart racing. "I've been thinking a lot about us," he began, his voice steady but vulnerable. "And I want you to know that I'm here for the long haul. I'm ready to embrace this, to embrace you." Amanda felt her breath hitch in her throat, her heart swelling with hope. "You mean it?" she whispered, unable to contain the tears that pricked at the corners of her eyes. "Yeah, I do," Jake said, stepping closer, his gaze unwavering. "I don't want to run away anymore. I want to face whatever comes next together." With that, he reached out and gently brushed a stray tear from her cheek. "You've shown me that it's okay to be vulnerable, to feel again. And I want to explore this connection we have. I want to see where it leads." Amanda smiled through her tears, her heart full. "I'd like that too, Jake. I've felt so lost for so long, but with you, I feel like I can finally find my way back." "Then let's do this together," he said softly, his eyes locking onto hers with a promise of hope. As they stood there, lost in the moment, Clara approached them once more, a knowing smile on her face. "You both look like you're ready to take on the world. What's the plan?" "We're figuring it out," Amanda said, her voice filled with newfound strength. "But what matters is that we're doing it together." Clara beamed, wrapping her arms around both of them. "Then let's celebrate that. We have so much to look forward to." As the three friends embraced, a sense of unity enveloped them. They were no longer just individuals navigating their struggles, they were a team, ready to face whatever the future held. Together, they would embrace love, friendship, and the promise of brighter days ahead, all while standing at the precipice of their new lives, filled with hope and determination.